Has Victor Boniface been demoted in the hierarchy of strikers at Bayer Leverkusen? That's what we'll be discussing today. Bayer Leverkusen defeated Brussels Park 4-0 in the DFB Pokal Cup, and Boniface was on the bench, but he was nowhere to be found. And according to reports in Germany, a German news outlet named Bild, you can call it Bild, named Bild, suggested that Eric Ten Hag is done with the Nigerian striker. You know, instead of bringing on Victor Boniface in the second half after Patrick Schick was substituted, he decided to bring a Cameroonian international. His name is Christian Confani. Confani came in and he did well. He did an assist and he scored in Bayer Leverkusen's 4-0 resounding victory away from home in the first round of the DFLB Cup played over the weekend in Germany. So the talking point is now, has Victor Boniface been demoted from the first team or the hierarchy of strikers? That we'll be analyzing for you on Diary TV. My name is Akan and we're going to be analyzing the situation. In the game, Bayer Leverkusen traveled away to Brussels Park and they got a 4-0 resounding victory. And after the game, Dutch manager, Dutch coach who was formerly Manchester United coach, Eric Ten Hag, was asked of Victor Boniface's, being an unused sub in that game, and he said Victor Boniface has not gotten to full match fitness. So I don't think there's any cause for alarm, according to what Eric Ten Hag said. Not all players get to full match fitness, especially when the season starts. If you see, there has always been a mixture of rotation in several squads, just to minimize injury. Even looking at the Premier League, looking at Pep Guardiola's squad, there were lots of rotations that were made. Some players sat at the bench and some players came in the second half. Even Manchester United, even Arsenal, Gyökeres that was signed was given playing time at first half and it was subbed up in the second half. Declan Rice too was subbed up. So any player can go through that process, and there were some players that were unused subs that fans would have loved to see them feature for their respective clubs. So from what Ten Hag has said, I believe it is not, the season has just started. We still have up to how many games to go, and this report from Bild is now saying Victor Boniface has been demoted. You don't demote such a striker, as a striker that made his mark at Leverkusen, helping Leverkusen, get to the Europa final and won the league unbeaten. Getting to the following season, they still went on and on until they lost their first game. So he did so well under Xabi Alonso, and this report, Ten Hag has played them down that he did not demote. He didn't say he did not demote. He just said Boniface has not gotten to full match fitness. Boniface had his injuries last season. He was sidelined with injuries, and Patrick Schick, who also had injuries 2 seasons ago, where Boniface took advantage of his position, to become a starter in the team, came back and also got his place. That's how football is. If you go on injury and the player next to you comes in and impresses, it will be difficult for the manager to keep on the bench. Just like what is going on with Victor Boniface. Victor Boniface is not injured. He's fit now. He's back at the club. But according to the coach, he hasn't gotten to full match fitness. But look at the issues surrounding Victor Boniface in the past couple of weeks, months, or even years. Victor Boniface has come under fire from fans in Nigeria. He has not been really performing well like we knew him when he came from Bodo Glimt, Sengalo and Bayer Leverkusen. We've not seen that spark, in the national team for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. But on the second part, we're going to be reviewing what happened to this fancy footed football striker, and we'll tell you our own take on Diary TV. Thank you so much. I'll be back. Welcome back to Diary TV, guys. Victor Boniface is the topic of our discussion today. And I want to tell you, Victor Boniface made his debut in October 2023. He has played 13 games so far for the Super Eagles, but he has failed to register a goal. I wouldn't blame him for that. Who would you blame for that? There are some players who were given opportunities to play and didn't even shine. But you know, some people still believe Boniface should have done more because he is a star striker for Bayer Leverkusen with the way he has performed in the Europa League, becoming the highest goal scorer while he was at Union Saint-Gallo, coming to Leverkusen, playing in the Europa League final, coming to the Champions League. You know, he was still proving his mettle as a superstar striker. So fans believe he should have done better, or he should do better wearing the colors of the green, white, green. And the striker has come under fire from so many quarters, so many people saying different things about the striker. And the striker is a very vocal person on social media. If you go to his social media page, he's a very funny lad. He makes interesting comments. You know, he replies people, and he's somebody that you love to be around. He's a very funny guy, very easygoing guy. But what the fans want is he should do business, should put the ball at the back of the net. You know, since he came into the national team, people have said who will start ahead of him. He should that since he came into the national team, it has been debated. It was debated then in 2003 that was he going to start ahead of Victor Osimhen. But you know, you can't have Osimhen and Victor Boniface playing on the same role. But some reports suggested that he can be played from the left or rather from the right. But you know, when Victor Boniface was selected for the AFCON 2023 team that traveled to Cote d'Ivoire, you know, he picked up a muscle injury which prevented him, and Terence Murphy of Lyon was brought in his place. So we thought Victor Boniface was going to partner Victor Osimhen in the attacking lineup, but since he didn't go, Ademola Lookman picked up the spot and he made very good use of his position coming from the left. And Ademola Lookman scored 3 goals. You know, Victor Osimhen had to sacrifice so many things for the Atalanta striker to score 3 goals. So Boniface was missing, and when AFCON tournament was over, the World Cup qualifying rounds came on again, and Nigeria didn't do well. Victor Boniface was put in one of the few matches that under Finidi George, even while Eguavoen was temporary coach of the Nigeria Super Eagles. You know, Eguavoen said, he made one comment about Victor Boniface that he always loved to play with finesse, and he described him that he loves to play like Romario, Brazilian Romario. Romario played with finesse and he was a great striker. He was regarded as one of the best strikers that ever played the game. So if Victor Boniface chooses to play like Romario in the national team and is not producing results, and he does that in his club side and is producing results, would you change the style of the player? You know, you just have to give it time. So since Eric Ten was also brought into the fray, Boniface has not been having it well with the Malian coach, who is the chief coach of the Nigerian national team now. Nigeria are now in a dicey situation in the World Cup qualifiers. It is now 60-40, 60 for not qualifying for the World Cup and 40 for qualifying the World Cup. Because if Nigeria can beat Rwanda and beat South Africa, and we hope CAF deducts points from South Africa for fielding a player that was suspended in one of the qualifying games, you know, 3 points should be deducted. If it happens that way, Nigeria will qualify. So you can see that everything is still being in a dicey situation. So Victor Boniface also has his problem with Eric Ten. The recent played Unity Cup that Nigeria won. During the game against Ghana, the first game against Ghana, Victor Boniface was subbed off, and you know, he was frustrated. And you know, it was a mixture of home-based and foreign-based players. Not all the foreign-based players were available. You know, he's still struggling at national team level, and he went on social media. He made a post about him retiring from the national team, but the post was quickly pulled down. I could understand the players' feelings, how everything is getting to him now, but we have to just support him so that he should be strong, and he should fight for his place in the national team. And when the right time comes, everything is going to work out in his way, I believe. So Victor Boniface has been through so many things playing for Nigeria. It's not easy representing your country. You replicating the form at your club side and bringing it to your country is a lot, especially if you're a striker. If you don't bang in the goals, it's a lot. That's why Victor Osimhen is still Nigeria's number 9 any day. For club and country, he does it the same way. But not all players will have it that lucky, that easy. But it does not mean that it's easy, because some players makes it look easy. But what you have to just what we just have to do for Victor Boniface now is to show him support. And with the current situation at his club now, if he doesn't regain full match fitness, Nigeria will be playing Rwanda on September the 6th at Uyo, at the Gospel Pablo Stadium in Uyo. He might not be invited, and 3 days later we'll be jetting out to South Africa to play the all-important game against Bafana of South Africa. So Boniface not being in his best form is a concern, in some way for the national team. We already have players that will not be featuring. Ahmed Musa will not be featuring due to injury. Shemi Ajayi will not be featuring due to injury. Now it's Boniface. It's not because of injury, it's because of his current form. So we need to show support to these our players who are trying everything, working in day and night on their fitness and their performance on the pitch, just to give us the best, just to take Nigeria to the World Cup. Every player wants to feature at the World Cup. Nigeria missed out on the last day of the last World Cup in